Coach Corey Wayne, and this is my video coaching newsletter. And the topic of this newsletter is going to be, what should I text first? Got an email here from a viewer. He says, hey Coach, I'm 23 and I'm living in a city close to Vienna, Austria. Vienna is beautiful. I've been there. I had a fucking great time in that city. A lot of history. A lot of beautiful women there. That's one of the things I love about Europe, is that wherever you go, it's like everybody walks. It's like most of the women are in, it's like, especially like Hungary and that area, Slovakia, it's like people walk everywhere. And so they tend to be in great shape. A lot of beautiful women with nice tight jeans, beautiful bodies walking around there because they're always moving. Whereas you go in the States here, you go to a mall or some public place, people don't walk very much, and there's fat people everywhere. And I'm fucking terrible. He says, well, I was never really successful. I mean, I made out with tons of girls, got tons of numbers, rarely had sex, but it never ended in a relationship. I've been to an acting school in Canada, but the girl thing there didn't go well either. Well, obviously, whatever strategy you were employing was not working. He says, I'm back in Austria and thought I would be the man now that I've returned with all of my stories from over there, but no. The problem is I can't get girls to want to go out with me. I'm good looking, but something's missing. You know, in other areas of my life, like with my acting career, I'm totally confident and I believe in myself, but with girls, I don't know. The thing is, I go out, I make out occasionally, and I get numbers. My problems are, number one, meeting potential girls at bars and parties who I can turn into girls I date. The whole first thing to have a good conversation and get them interested. Number two, I saw your cat-dog video. I just want to know, how long do I have to wait to text her after I've met her? And really, what should be the first text that I should say to her? Well, like I talk about in my book, the whole purpose of getting a phone number is so you can ask her out for a date. Now, if you got some really big balls and you're comfortable with women, then you should get right to the point and make a date on the spot. And that's what I communicated in my book. In the beginning of my book, I'm using a lot of low-risk strategies to gauge a woman's interest before I risked going out and asking her out on a date and risking rejection. But by the end of the book, one of the girls I wrote about that ended up becoming my girlfriend, I mean, we just locked eyes. I ran into her the next day. I saw her like across the room, but I didn't get a chance to talk to her because she had left the seminar that I was at a little early. And so instead of being able to talk to her at the end, because she was like a couple rows up in front of me, she left early. And so I figured, hey, we're going to be here for a week. I'm sure I'll run into her again. And sure enough, the very next night, I'm leaving the restaurant that I was having dinner with a friend of mine. And as I'm walking out, there's this girl that was checking me out earlier the previous day. I walked right up to her. I was like, hey, she instantly recognized me. And it was just the same thing. It was the same electric connection. It was just magical. And I can't remember. I think she told me what her name was. She asked for mine. And I just said, hey, I'd love to meet you for dinner. I said, how about we go to dinner? Why don't we meet here tomorrow night? Because we were at the restaurant, the hotel where the seminar was. I said, why don't we meet here tomorrow night after the seminar ends? If you get here first, you get a table. If I get here first, I'll get a table. I was like, sound good? She's like, great. I was like, awesome. I'll see you then. And then I left, and then I didn't see her at all the next day during the seminar. But later that night, I was sitting there, and sure enough, within 5 minutes, boom, she walked in. And it's like we were pretty much always together after that. And it was just because it was such a magical connection. She was exactly the person that I was looking for. I remember we were actually sitting down comparing, later on when we were in a relationship together, we had both written out exactly what we wanted in the other person. And so I let her read mine, and she let me read the one that she had written down. This was months before we ever met each other or knew each other. We had basically completely described the other person. And that's why it's like as soon as I looked into her eyes, I knew it was exactly the girl I was looking for. And she felt the same way, that I was exactly the guy that she had written down, like this is the exact type of dude I want to meet. And so that's why the connection was so powerful. Like I've said many times, like attracts like. And so in that particular instance, I set a date right on the spot. Whereas, because we're in a seminar, I can't say, hey, I can get her phone number and I'm going to call her back 3 or 4 days later. It's not going to happen. And at the end of the day, when you get good at this stuff and you know that a woman's interested, you just make a date on the spot. It's like, why fuck around? And so you want to try to get there as in fewest steps as possible, because if you take the number, then you got to call her later, try to meet up there, try to get her on the phone or whatever, or text her, wait for her to get back to you. But if you make a date right on the spot, it just cuts out a whole other step, and then it's just a matter of agreeing to a place and a time, and then all you got to do is show up and have a great time on the date. It makes it really easy. So what I would do if I were you, if you're uncomfortable asking a girl out, just say, hey, I got to run, but I'd really like to talk to you. What's your number? And then you just pull out your phone and look down at it and start putting her number and her name in there. And then she'll just start telling you it, because the way you're acting as if this kind of thing happens all the time. You're acting as if, of course, the girl's going to give the number, because that's what always happens when you ask a girl for a phone number. She always gives it to you. So why would you sit there and go, gee, can I have your number? You're going to say, hey, what's your number? You're just going to look at your phone and start typing away as if this is what always happens. When you act as if, like, think from the end, you'll communicate the body language, the physiology, the tone of your voice that you meet women all the time, and this is exactly how it goes. And obviously you must be very successful with other women. If you're successful with other women, it must be because you're a catch. And then the girl starts thinking, oh, I got to win this guy because he must be something special. That's what you want. So what I typically do is, so if you can use that, you can just say, hey, I got to run, but you get her number. That's one way to go about it. Or you can just say, I think you're amazing. I got to run, but I'd definitely like to get together and meet you out for a drink sometime this week. When are you free to get together? Let her tell you and say, great. How about Thursday at 8 o'clock, and we'll meet at Houston's on the Water over on 123 Bob Street, where the place happens to be. And then you just say to her, you get her number, just say, let me get your number in case something comes up. I'll call you. Otherwise, I'll just see you there. And so she tells you the number, you put it in the phone. And you say, great, I got your number, you got mine, because you text it to her while she's standing there, so she's got it. And just say, if something comes up, I'll call you, otherwise I'll just see you at Houston's. If you get there first, grab us a table, maybe preferably over by the window, by the water, whatever it happens to be. And if I get there first, I'll get us a table. And she'll be like, great, that sounds good, awesome, I'll see you there. You give her a hug, and boom, you're on your way. There's no need to text back and forth or send 100 texts or anything, because you want to just strictly use the phone to set dates or to communicate. And so if you make a date right on the spot, you go and you have your first date, and then 2-3 days later, after typically what I like to do is, say you go out with a girl on a Wednesday, I usually call like the Monday or Tuesday of the following week, because you want to take measured steps. Because by waiting a little bit longer than the average guy does, you're going to set yourself apart. Plus, it gives the woman space to feel like she can be with you and you're not going to turn into a stalker or a needy guy who's like blowing up her phone. You're taking your time with her, and this causes her to be a little bit unsure of where she stands with you. She starts to wonder, gee, does this guy not like me like all these other dudes that are blowing up my phone? And the more she wonders about you and the more she thinks about you, the more it causes her to like you and want you more. And so after a couple of weeks in, what happens is she starts reaching out to you. Instead of waiting 3 or 4 days to hear from you, she'll call you a day or two after you had your last date just to say, hey, I was thinking about you, had a great time the other night. And in essence, the reason she's reaching out to you is she's hoping that you'll arrange another date, create a fun-filled romantic opportunity for sex to happen, as I like to say. And that's all you really have to do, as opposed to chit-chatting back and forth. Because what happens is, and I did a video yesterday for a guy who, a woman voluntarily gives him her number, and then so he starts texting her the next day, and they spend all day texting, and he starts using sexual innuendo. He's not very good at it, obviously, and so he totally put his foot in his mouth. And instead of being charming and playful, he sounded totally creepy and like a sex hound. And plus, she, I think, had heard that he was married, and I don't know if it was actually true or not. I couldn't really tell by his email, but he had a total golden opportunity. All he had to do was make a date with this girl, and instead he chit-chats with her all day, sending unnecessary, creepy, sexual innuendo texts because he's not very good at it. Whereas if he'd have just said, hey, it was great meeting you yesterday, I want to see when you're free to get together for a drink this week. And let her tell you, and then all you had to do was make a date. But instead, he just completely talked her right out of sleeping with him, to the point where she's like, hey, this ends here, don't contact me anymore. And that's not a good way to go. And so less really is more, because the average guy watches all the same TV shows and movies that you and I see, and so he thinks he's got to act like a stalker and talk to a girl for weeks on end before he finally asks her out for a date. But by the time he gets around to asking her out on a date, she assumes he's weak and not very successful with other women, and therefore he's only a great candidate to be a male girlfriend. And then she'll just, after 3 weeks, he finally asks her out, she'll go, well, I only kind of think of you as a friend because he's acted like a friend from the get-go since the moment that they met. So be direct, get right to the point. If the girl really likes you, attraction's not a choice. You're either a 5 or better in her eyes and you've got a chance, or you're a 4 and below and you have no chance at all. Women that like you, they'll make dates with you right on the spot, and they'll be glad that you asked. They'll be enthusiastic, just like the girlfriend that I shared the story about when I met her at the seminar. It was a magical connection. I knew that she was thinking and feeling exactly what I was thinking and feeling. It was unmistakable. And if you'd have gotten 100 people that were at the seminar with us and they observed us, they would have said, it would have been obvious to everybody that we had a really amazing connection. And so until you have that kind of a connection, keep looking, keep trying to hook up with girls, keep practicing, and have fun. And because typically what happens when you start using this stuff, if you haven't dated a lot of girls, you haven't slept with a lot of girls and had a lot of experience meeting women and dating lots of different women, what happens is you get better over time, and your connections that you have with women get better and better and better until you ultimately meet one girl, and there's absolutely no doubt in your mind and there's no doubt in her mind that you are exactly what she's looking for and she's exactly what you're looking for. And it's magical. Repetition is another skill. You got to get prepared by practicing. So if you have a question you want to ask me, go to my website, click the Contact Me tab, which will be on the left-hand side of your screen. Send me 1 to 2 paragraphs max, and just give me several weeks to get back to you with a response. If you want to talk to me right away, the quickest way to get my help is to book a paid phone coaching session. You can do that by going to my website, click the Products tab, which will be at the top of your screen, and just follow the instructions. If you want to get a digital version of my Kindle ebook, on my website, underneath the email sign-up box, is a box that has a link that will take you right to the Amazon Kindle download page for my book. Once you get there, if you don't have a Kindle device, just download one of their free e-reader apps for whatever electronic device you want to read my book on. And if you appreciate the value of the information I offer in these video newsletters, the articles on my website, or my ebook, you can show your appreciation right now by going to my website. And there will be a toolbar at the bottom of your screen. Click the PayPal donate button and donate any amount that you feel is equal to the value of the information. And I will talk to you soon.